The story for Dark follows Eric Bane, which I will stop myself from doing my Bane impression because I am terrible at it, who wakes up in a nightclub drowsy, has no idea where he is, and he keeps seeing a flash of like an angel figure. He has no idea what's going on, and then he quickly finds out that he was actually turned into a vampire. Problem is, he does not know who turned him into a vampire. Now this is a problem because after time, he will start turning into a ghoul, which is a brain-dead nightwalker, if he does not get the blood of the vampire that turned him. So with the help of a few other vampires in the actual nightclub, Eric must set out to find the blood of his maker. The plot is simple and definitely made for a video game. I mean, it's just pretty much, hey, you have to go after this guy. Oh man, now you have to go after this guy. So each guy is pretty much a different level, and then at the end, of course, you have to fight the guy, which is a boss battle. It's simple. It's simple gaming 101. But the main problem is that I don't really care much for the main character. He doesn't have much of a personality. Hell, even the other vampires he meets along the way have at least an ounce of some kind of personality, but Eric Bane just does not. He just sounds bored all the way through. I will give the story some credit. I do like what they do with the vampire lore at times, but for the most part, it's a forgettable story with a forgettable main character, and even if there's some personality with all the other characters, they're still pretty forgettable as well. So there you go. The story here is nothing spectacular. Now let's talk about the sound. The voice acting is all over the place here. Eric Bane is voiced by Doug Cockle, the voice of Geralt from Witcher 2, and he is good in the role, but there is times where it even feels like he just does not care about the character, which is perfect because I don't care about the character either. The rest of the voice acting ranges from mediocre to downright bad. Now, most of the bad is from regular enemies that you fight all the time. Just little quips that they'll say all the time, that gets driven into your brain and won't leave. Now, the sound design has some decent stuff in it. The vampire abilities and even the blood sucking sound very satisfying, but the rest is passable with the occasional glitch here and there where you just don't hear anything at all. The soundtrack isn't impressive either, but it does have a pretty catchy song that plays all the time in the nightclub area. Overall, the sound is a mixed bag, but it's not terrible. Now, the graphics use the classic cel shading method, which was a unique take on a gritty vampire world like this. For the most part, it does work, especially in the environments, which look really good even if they are a little repetitive at times. But still, the texturing is very solid, and I really like that they put a lot of detail into the environments, even if they are repetitive. The lighting sets a nice mood, even though I don't think they use the dark enough. For a game called Dark, you would expect way more dark than this. Still, the neon lights can look cool, and so does the art style for the environments. Now, the character models do look decent for the most part, with the exception of some muddy texturing on faces. But the animations for a lot of the enemies are very wonky and unhuman-like. And because the animations are very wonky, it just makes a cutscene look very, very awkward. So overall, the cel-shaded look works well for the environments and even some of the characters, but the animations do bring it down a notch. So I actually think the graphics here are pretty decent for the most part. Now, the gameplay for Dark is mostly made up of stealth. There are no guns to use or combos to master. This is a stealth game with a hint of action. Throughout each mission, you will be able to hide behind certain objects and use your vampire powers to either kill an enemy or sneak past them. You do have a one-hit kill attack that will take out pretty much anyone. Thing is, your enemies have guns, and if a group of them finds you killing someone, you'll be dead quicker than you can say Team Edward. This is why stealth is really the only way through this game. To help, you have a few vampire abilities at your disposal. Your two main ones include a vampire vision, which lets you see where your enemies are, and a shadow leap, which lets you teleport small distances, like to a brand new piece of cover or the back of an enemy so you can kill that mofo. Yeah. While you progress through the game and kill multiple enemies, you get XP, which, when you get enough, will unlock a skill point that will let you make Eric himself stronger, his abilities more powerful, or let him unlock brand new ones. Some of these include health regeneration, brief invisibility, and one that will stun multiple enemies at once, and so on. There are actually a few more, but I'm just going to give you a little taste. Each one of these can be upgraded and made more powerful throughout the game. Now, to use these abilities, however, you need what they call Vita. To acquire Vita, you must suck the blood out of enemies like a normal vampire would. At first, sucking blood is a bit too difficult because it's really loud and takes a long time. The noise attracts any nearby enemies, and if they see you, then you better run. You can upgrade your feeding power so that it's quieter and quicker, but at first it's really annoying, especially if you really just want to try out a brand new ability that you just bought. Sucking blood will also only get you 1 Vita at first, but you can upgrade it later on so it gives you 2. The stealth gameplay is familiar, but it's fun, especially when you get to use the abilities to take out your enemies. I enjoy raking up XP so I can buy a new upgrade or even buy a brand new ability so I can kill the next guy easier. The Shadow Leap reminds me a lot of the Blink ability in Dishonored. I'll bet not as smooth, but still fun to use. There are a lot of different ways to take out or slip by your enemy, which I like. Variety is always a good thing. Now, the AI for the enemies, on the other hand, is extremely lackluster because it's the predictable type where enemies will move back and forth in the same pattern over and over again, and maybe look to the left, look to the right, and then go back to their business. After a while of just learning the enemy patterns by watching one walk, the game can start to get a bit boring. Luckily, the game does move along at a decent pace, but it only changes up the enemy types a couple of times. I still very much enjoyed using my abilities to either distract, sneak by, murder, or feed on an enemy, but the gameplay is definitely hurt by its simplistic AI. Now to wrap this review up, let me just say that I did notice a couple of glitches here and there. Nothing big, but they were there. And the overall performance did get dragged down at times for me because of a few cases of frame rate drops where there was, I guess, too much stuff happening. Overall, I think Dark is a fun budget title with some cool ideas that is brought down by an uninteresting story, bad dialogue and voice acting, and some shoddy AI. I still think it's worth a rent or even worth a pickup at around 20 or 30 bucks. It's a fun title with some big flaws, but I don't think it's a 2 out of 10 like Game Informer. That is insane. I'm playing Ride to Hell right now. That's a 2 out of 10. Spoiler, I will be reviewing that, but that's a 2 out of 10. This is not. So there you go. There's my review for Dark. It's a fun game, but it has problems. Thank you and goodbye.